Hello and welcome back to another breaking news update. My name is Jimmy Boyd and you were watching Boyd News. I want to thank you so much for tuning in today. I've got some breaking news coming out from Ukraine to share with you, but before we get into that, I just want to thank you so much for being patient. I did take the day off yesterday just to kind of relax and enjoy myself with the family, just take a little personal day. So thank you so much for being patient for me. So let's go ahead and get right into this news here. We're going to be talking about Ukraine. I've got a crazy story coming out from Ukraine that apparently there are defense startups happening all over Ukraine. And as far as I know, this has actually been going on for several years, but they're starting to ramp this up even more. There's about 250 defense startups across Ukraine that are building a robot army. Okay, so what you see here in the photo, there's lots of different styles of robots, and they've got like some with like tank tracks on them, and these similar ones that you see here with actual tires on them, and they have tons of different styles, and they're mass producing these all over their country. And the main reason that they're producing these is because they have a personnel shortage right now. That obviously we know that many of the Ukrainians that have been fighting are already been killed in battle, and we know this from Volodymyr Zelensky. He's come out and announced this many times that they are short on troops, and we've got more information today that there's been another village that has fallen on the eastern side of Ukraine. So we know the Russians are continuously pushing forward, taking a little bit more stretches of land inside of Ukraine each week. They are not major gains, they are incremental gains, but they are gaining land inside of Ukraine continuously. So I'm not sure how much longer Ukraine can keep this up, but it seems like they're still, for the most part, in the fight right now. But they are trying to produce these robots right now and call this a robot army because they just simply don't have enough personnel to fight this. And they understand that because they don't have enough personnel in their country to fight this war, they've got to come up with innovative ways to fight back against the Russians without the cost of human lives in this fight against the Russian army. So let me share some information here with you today. I've got an article pulled up here on NPR. This is a very interesting story. So Ukrainian startups are creating a low-cost robot army to fight Russia. This came out today, and it says, oh, here's a picture of it as well. This is a picture of one of their styles that they have. There's no turret on it or anything, so I'm not sure what this would be used for. Some type of maybe reconnaissance or something, but they're starting to produce a lot of land vehicles now, not so much drones. They are still producing drones and mass producing them, but they're starting to work on more styles like this now. So I thought it's very, very interesting. And it says right here, struggling with manpower shortages, overwhelming odds, and uneven international assistance, Ukraine hopes to find a strategic edge against Russia in an abandoned warehouse or factory basement. So see, they're using whatever they can find. Okay, if they've got abandoned warehouses or literally the basement of a factory, that's where they're producing these at. An ecosystem of laboratories and hundreds of secret workshops is leveraging innovation to create a robot army that Ukraine hopes will kill Russian troops and save its own wounded soldiers and civilians. Defense startups across Ukraine, about 250 according to industry estimates, are creating the killing machines at secret locations that typically look like rural car repair shops. So whenever you think about this, the last time I ever heard of robots fighting in a war was like, maybe the movies back in the day, like the Terminator. That's what it makes me think of, like Skynet and stuff like that. And it's just crazy to think that we really are starting to move this direction where wars will eventually be fought by machines, not so much by human beings, because obviously machines can be a lot more effective if they're obviously tuned right. If they have the right AI software and all that installed into them, they could obviously be much more deadly and probably more accurate at shooting and you name it. They'd be a lot more effective of a fighting force versus humans, okay? Because humans obviously make a lot of mistakes, and machines do not as much, okay? So employees at a startup run by entrepreneur Andriy Denisenko can put together an unmanned ground vehicle called the Odyssey in 4 days at a shed used by the company. Its most important feature is the price tag, $35,000, or roughly 10% of the cost of an imported model. So that's another reason why they're producing these in their country, is because it's much cheaper. So 10%, this would have been $350,000 if it was imported, but if they produce it there in their country, it's $35,000. So much cheaper to produce this inside of Ukraine as per getting it imported. So Denisenko asked that the Associated Press not published details of the location to protect the infrastructure and the people working there. The site is partitioned into small rooms for welding and body work that includes making fiberglass cargo beds, spray painting the vehicle's gun green, and fitting basic electronics, battery-powered engines, off-the-shelf cameras, and thermal sensors. The military is assessing dozens of new unmanned air, ground, and marine vehicles produced by the no-frills startup sector, whose production methods are far removed from giant Western defense companies. So here's another picture of some gentleman here working on a design for this tank style. Looks like a mini tank style. I guess you call it a drone. It'd be like a land drone. So it says here, a fourth branch of Ukraine's military, the Unmanned Systems Forces, joined the Army, Navy, and Air Force in May. Engineers take inspiration from articles in defense magazines or online videos to produce cut-price platforms. Weapons or smart components can be added later. Okay, so it looks like they just focus on building the actual unit first, and then they'll start adding weapons or smart components, it says here, to it later. We are fighting a huge country and they don't have any resource limits. We understand that we cannot spend a lot of human lives, said Denisenko, who heads the defense startup Ukur Prototype. War is mathematics. One of its drones, the car-sized Odyssey, spun on its axis and kicked up dust as it rumbled forward in a cornfield in the north of the country last month. The 800-kilogram or 1,750-pound prototype that looks like a small turretless tank with its wheels on tracks can travel up to 30 kilometers or 18.5 miles on one charge of a battery the size of a small beer cooler. That's pretty impressive. 18 miles is actually not too bad. But obviously they'd have to continuously charge this or find a way for it to recharge itself. I don't know if they could fit solar panels on this or if it would even make sense to do that, considering it would obviously come under attack. And it could be disabled if it had solar panels. I don't even know if solar panels would be effective enough, but maybe they will figure out a way to have these things recharge themselves. But it also says here, the prototype acts as a rescue and supply platform, but can be modified to carry a remotely operated heavy machine gun or sling mine clearing charges. Squads of robots will become logistics devices, tow trucks, mine layers, and deminers, as well as self-destructive robots. A government's fundraising page said after the launch of Ukraine's unmanned system forces, their first robots are already proving their effectiveness on the battlefield. Something I want to note about this that I thought about is we do know that Ukraine is using lots of drones in their war against Russia. I don't know how many videos I've seen online that they use, small aerial drones that are attached to a small, explosive. And they'll fly these over to troops that are coming into the country on tanks or anything like that, or in vehicles, and they'll literally crash these into the vehicles. And some of them are powerful enough to destroy them, but in many cases, at least does damage or wounds the troops many times as well, killing them. And I don't know how many videos I've seen of them doing that. And maybe they realize that this is a very effective way of fighting against Russia. And it doesn't require them to have to, expend a human life. They could just use a machine that could just be mass produced, and obviously they can afford to do this if they're these kinds of prices. They can mass produce these. So that's what Ukraine is focused on doing right now. So finally, it says here, Mikhailo Fedorov, the Deputy Prime Minister for Digital Transformation, is encouraging citizens to take free online courses and assemble aerial drones at home. He wants Ukraine to make 1 million of flying machines a year. There will be more of them soon, the fundraising page said. Many more. So there's more information here about Denisenko's company and regarding these drones, if you guys want to read some more of this. But I just wanted to get that bulk of information here for you talking about this. So it looks like Ukraine is currently pushing for this right now. They're trying to get their citizens to jump on board with this, to start mass producing these drones, okay? Whether they're land drones, sea drones, aerial drones, they're realizing that they've got to start fighting this war using unmanned technologies, so that way they don't have to expend their own human lives in this war. And we'll have to see how this does for Ukraine, but I could see this being very beneficial for them. At the same time, I think what this war will expose is how effective, these types of weapons that are unmanned, as unmanned vehicles, technologies, things like that, how effective they will be as opposed to using human, military troops. It's kind of what I'm saying here. And I think that this will expose that And this may completely shift the way that people fight wars in the future, or maybe defense contractors will start producing more of these types of equipment as opposed to focusing on, just giving a soldier a rifle and things like that. So this could definitely change the way that wars are fought in the future, and this could be the beginning of that right now. I mean, we already know that many countries, like China, for example, I've seen lots of video footage of dog drones. Okay, they look like dogs basically, and they're robots that are literally training alongside of Chinese troops. So we know that countries are already going this way in the future, but it's definitely scary to think about. And that's why I wanted to share this information with you, to let you know that Ukraine is doing this right now. And we know that obviously a lot of other countries are focusing on obviously AI and robots as well. But I just wanted to share this, let you know what's going on over here. I hope you got something out of this, though. That's going to be it for this update. If you did get something out of this, please smash that like button. Also, if you enjoy my content, please consider subscribing down below. Hit the notification bell. That way YouTube can notify you. And with that, I hope y'all have a great day. Everybody take care and God bless, and we'll see you in the next one.